Hello and welcome back. It is Senior TMZ and we are looking at the mug of Rip. And what the heck is that? What
What's that smell?
That could only mean one thing, ladies and gentlemen. And that's no holds barred. No holds barred Christmas. Let's get right into it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that you're half as excited as I am because this card should prove to be absolutely nothing short of phenomenal. And let's get right into the nitty gritty, as this one is for John. And starting things out on the pre-show, we got the Brain Busters going head-to-head with Rock and Roll Express. Rock and Roll Express came off a win, I believe, on the last pay-per-view. But look at this. Man, I think that ever since Slick Rick decided to come into town, sort of like Santa Claus, Brainbusters have gotten a little rub, so to speak. They got the Iggy. They are definitely slightly better than what they had been, and obviously time does do that, but also I think just rubbing shoulders with the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, limousine riding, jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, son of a gun, woo! Ric Flair has done them well so far. And then next we got Magnum getting a win over Bad News. Bad News, of course, this is his first pay-per-view on the WWF roster. With this sim, obviously. And, you know, I'm kind of surprised he wasn't on my roster to begin with. I'm trying to think back if he was. I don't think he was. But he is kind of older, and truth be told right here, I was just trying to utilize Bad News to the best of my abilities, so to speak. And, give Magnum, a match to get over, albeit on the pre-show. But nonetheless, we move forward, and here we are. This is why we pack the buildings, ladies and gentlemen. It's Hulk Hogan himself, or should I say Rip. And I'm not sure whether he's cutting a promo on Dookie, but nonetheless, he has got a bone to pick, and ironically, that bone that he's got to be picking is with The Undertaker. Yes, you got that right. The Undertaker, easy for me to say, Mark Calloway, who if you have been keeping track of the videos, and if not, no big deal, you could always go back and watch in chronological order. We got one for every major pay-per-view, dating the whole way back to WrestleMania 4, and then retrospective videos that give a short synopsis of entire year's WrestleMania to WrestleMania. But in the last, maybe within, dating back to Survivor Series, where Taker made his debut, he interfered in a Hogan match. And then on the last pay-per-view, he did the same thing in the Vader v. Hogan match at Royal Rumble. Now Hogan wants to settle the score. He called out Taker. Heyman accepted the offer. Obviously, it's a big deal. It's a huge opportunity that you should jump at. if you're a young star, a kind of blossoming star. And so obviously Heyman jumped at that opportunity, and this is a monumental night because it will be the first time we see Hulk Hogan going up against the Dead Man, the Immortal versus the Dead Man. But before we get to that, we have Medusa facing Omari for her WWA title that she brought in from JWA. And obviously, Omari came in with kind of, very limited popularity, and Medusa has been an underutilized member of the roster. Here, we're giving them a platform to kind of put that title, which hasn't been defended too much, seeing as though we have the WWF Women's title as well here on pay-per-view. Now, I think that my plans moving forward, and obviously I like to play some stuff close to the vest, and others I'm pretty open about. Truth be told, I think moving forward before WrestleMania, the plan will likely be have Omari versus Bull Nakano and unify all the titles. The reason that I kind of kept this one ununified for so long was because I did want to build up this young talent here, Omari, and also it came in with a ton of prestige. And I honestly think that there's really no... I mean, I could just not defend it for a while, but if I want to defend it even semi-regularly, it's going to eventually tank the prestige. So, and obviously, it had dropped. I mean, it was in the 90s to begin with, which obviously it's different. I believe they are performance over popularity for one, and Omari is way over in Japan, but nonetheless, popularity makes a huge difference, and the prestige does not bump the match rating up too much also, so it is what it is. And here is the match that we have been waiting for. Hogan still keeping it real. He's got a 90 rating. Taker, not too bad. Obviously, this is kind of what you would see generally from the opener pre the Women's Revolution that Stephanie McMahon started here on my simulation, which was pretty awesome. And if you missed that episode, you should go Google Gullible in dictionary.com. But Taker... obviously someone we want to build up, and if I've said it once, I've said it a million times. Even though he's losing, I mean, obviously Hogan's got to go over, baby. You know that, baby. And we here, we don't got bottles, we got cans, and that's why Hogan's going over the Dead Man, and that's because Jimmy's Tiki Bar and Grill. You get to watch these big matches, and what a big match this is, even despite the fact that Taker doesn't quite have the popularity yet, but he debuted at Survivor Series, so we're coming up on just about a half year once we get to WrestleMania. I guess maybe 4 months, if I'm correct on that. So, you get what you get, and it's obviously going to take time to get him over. But I think this is a step in the right direction in that, he's already in a feud with a big name. Now, he still needs to get his wins, and I know that better than anyone. But I think intermittent, if he's taking losses but to big names, I don't think it hurts them in the long run. And obviously, you don't want to build someone too hard, too fast. Because sometimes that can blow up in your face. So we're going to take it semi-slow with Taker, but obviously we have to have him ready for WrestleMania, because what would a Taker roster spot be if there's no streak? But who knows? Maybe maybe he'll start a different streak, so to speak. We'll have to stay tuned and find out. Then we got Adonis cutting a promo. He challenged Misawa for the title, or no? He challenged Steamboat, rather. Sorry, I'm getting my pay-per-views mixed up. He challenged Steamboat to a singles match. He's kind of found himself in a situation since he's lost his hair. He's lost the title match in which he faced Misawa in the past. He's kind of unhinged, and he sees an opportunity to face Steamboat, someone who's kind of a pillar of strength, as an opportunity to kind of tear down the conventional babyface, the hero, and build himself up in the process. So here, he's looking to kind of, this unhinged person is looking to take someone down with him as a means to get back to where he can look down on others. Hopefully that's, hopefully you buy that as a good enough reason. Not to mention Adonis, from a booking perspective, is, one of the top talents that we have in the heel division. And as far as trajectory-wise, he was needed in this spot. So it just made sense to have, the titular villain who can sell it on TV and an in-ring genius in Steamboat to really craft the finished product once the match happens. But before we get to that, man, almost ran right through it. We have the Blade Runners going up against the Hart Foundation again, and gee willikers, man. Blade Runners are really coming into their own. Sting, obviously, he absolutely crushes it. Brett is a freaking tag sensation at this point. And this, partially, I think, is just due to the fact that Neidhart really, the whole time while I was building up Brett, Neidhart was kind of just standing idle. Similar to Ultimate Warrior, truth be told. Nonetheless, hey, it made for a really good bout and a good first defense of the Blade Runners. Obviously, I knew there was going to be a slight drop in quality once we pivoted from Freebirds to Blade Runners, but I'll take it. This seems to have benefited nearly everyone involved. Jim Neidhart might honestly be the martyr in this situation, just because, he's always eating the pinfalls. His momentum is not nearly as good as Brett's. And that's just because, I like using Brett as a singles guy. But here, I'm not sure how much more of this Hart Foundation we're going to be seeing. But they're such a solid option, and they've been feuding for quite a while. It just made sense to have their first defense be the Hart Foundation. It was kind of the hurdle they had to, or the obstacle they had to hurdle, rather, to get to the titles, and now it's the first obstacle once they are holding the title. So I just thought it was fitting. Then we are on to that Steamboat Adonis match that we had talked about prior, and here we have another very solid outing, and Steamboat will pick up the victory over Adonis in a great wrestling bout. What do you expect from Steamboat? In good heat, it wasn't nearly as personal a feud as what we have become accustomed to with Adonis, but this could be a launching point for a personal feud. Who knows? Obviously, these two guys almost have to be utilized in some form or fashion for WrestleMania. We know that, and we are on the road to WrestleMania, no doubt about that. So, we'll have to see what happens in that regard. But obviously, a big win for Steamboat. And if in the past few pay-per-views, obviously, I know that I had mentioned, man, Steamboat's starting to dip. And, I got to take care of my baby birds. I got to feed my baby birds. And I think I'm doing that here. I'm giving him some fan service. He does. He could easily be the top guy. I think that's something we know. And obviously, he would be kind of a different top guy. He would kind of be like a Daniel Bryan type. And Daniel Bryan did get very good on the mic, especially today. But, well, you know what? Even during, he did eventually become a very good character. And Steamboat, I think, is a good character too. However, interviews are not his strong suit. And you know what? I do have to completely retract what I said about Daniel Bryan, because character development was honestly one of the tipping points that I think got him over, especially as he was a heel way before the Yes Movement was fully, inflated. So, retract that. Obviously, I think that was a misstep there. However, Steamboat, it still remains. He's got world champion written all over him because he can perform in the ring nearly as well as anyone else. And this roster can really, and in my opinion, cover up for some of, I wouldn't say the pitfalls, but some of the weaknesses that Steamboat has. Obviously, promos, interviews being chief among them. But he can more than make up for that in his overness, his selling, and his freaking in-ring chops. So that's definitely something that I'm keeping in mind. However, if you've been here long enough, you know that some of the greats have gone uncrowned so far. Harley Race, perfect example. And this isn't even just top title. I mean, this is any titles. And right now, it's tough. It's hard out here because we have so many young up and coming guys who need that rub in some form or fashion, and the very, very tippy top is just saturated with all-time greats. It is hard to get someone like Steamboat in that position, but hey, who knows? Somewhere down the road, Steamboat could be holding that big gold title, and I'm sure you would be just as happy as I am on that day. But we move forward to a title match in which Piper is cutting that promo only the way that he can, and they're saying poor announcing. Side note here, and this was something that I was obviously excited for. For many of you who have played this game against Japanese promotions, you might have faced this same issue. End of the year awards. You're not going to win much, okay? As far as in-ring awards go, best wrestler, best female wrestler, best tag team, best even referees sometimes, but that does kind of depend. If you're not getting absolutely swept by NJPW or AJPW, then you must be freaking a mad lad, to say the least. But something that I was excited for, because I think this was the first time WWF won, I believe, Best Announcer with Jim Ross and Best Color Commentary with Bobby the Brain Heenan. So to say that it deserved better announcing, I'm not sure what that's all about. And obviously, it didn't hurt the rating. So I think they're just saying hurtful things to be hurtful, and that hurts. But Piper cuts a promo. Here's the crux of it. He sees Misawa. They, I believe, faced each other when Piper last held that title. And Piper's kind of, he's in a situation where, man, he's tried door one, he's tried door two, he hasn't gotten the prize yet, and now he's thinking, well, maybe if I go back to that IC division, I can just pluck that title and wear that 10 pounds of gold or however many pounds of gold around my waist and feel the same way I felt before. And he's kind of chasing that feeling that he had basically when he held that title and beat Hogan for it after WrestleMania 2. And then he would eventually go on to win the IC title his first time. Now he thinks, well, what the heck? I know I'm better than Misawa. Let me just give it a go and face him. And Misawa always open for a challenge, accepted. And let's get right into that match. And the golden reign is what I'm going to call it. This Misawa IC title reign, the golden reign, continues to elevate. This is absolutely phenomenal. This is tremendous, some would say. And Piper shows yet again why he is one of the very top heels ever. Because not only they had a segment on TV where it was a talking segment for both. Misawa, best overall wrestler for a reason. He can do it in the ring. He can sell it too. It was a talking segment. This is where Piper challenged him, and it was a 100. And obviously, if you're both being judged, you got to bring it as well. Piper can obviously bring it. Misawa, he can bring it too. And if this reign continues, man, I'm never going to want to take this IC title off of him, because it's crazy. The fact, he has definitely had some very good dance partners, but if you look back at it, I dare you, go back, look at the match that he won this title. His performance was not nearly as good, but almost immediately coming out of that, Misawa flipped that switch and he turned into the man. And he is making the IC title as relevant as it had been. And mind you, this title was the workers' title, and it was held by some really good workers. Misawa is redefining that term. But we got to move forward. As infatuated with this title reign, here's another guy that I just cannot get enough of. Slick Rick himself, and he's cutting a promo as only the Nature Boy can. Now, obviously, you might have seen on pay-per-views prior. I believe it was maybe the Royal Rumble. I could be wrong on this, guys. I believe it was Royal Rumble, the last pay-per-view, or maybe it was Survivor Series. Nonetheless, there was a cage match. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going to go with Survivor Series. There was a cage match. DiBiase, yes, it was Survivor Series, now that I remember correctly. DiBiase, Vader versus Hogan, Savage in a cage. The winner would get the last spot in the Royal Rumble. Okay, so Hogan or Vader would get the number 30 entrant. Flair comes out. He's getting ready to storm the gates, so to speak, and look at who met him. It was Dusty Rhodes, baby, the son of a plumber. And he calls out Ric Flair because he knows his dirty tricks. He knows what he's up to, and he is not about to let that happen in the WWF. Well, guess what? Dusty Rhodes confronts him on TV. He says, look, Nate, I see you still got that NWA title around your waist, but you're masquerading here on WWF TV like you're really the champ. Well, look, you got to defend that championship title to really call yourself the man. You say you got to beat the man to be the man. Well, look, you're looking at the real man. So if you want to call yourself the man, you got to beat me. And Rick, he's not about to let Dusty Rhodes embarrass him on national television, on the biggest federation in the world, on the biggest TV show in the world at this point. And you can Google that. This TV in this universe, in this sim, biggest TV show in the world. Flair isn't about that. He says, you got yourself a challenge. You want this belt. Meet me at No Holds Barred. And that is exactly what Dusty Rhodes did. The second most recognizable athlete in the world. And they put on another Insta Classic in their continuous rivalry, their historic rivalry, their quote it forever feud. Flair goes over Dusty. Flair is on top of the world right now, and he is performing on a level in which very few people can attain in this federation, and I like it. I like it a lot. I mean, 92, hey, I'll take it, especially considering that Misawa match really outperformed expectations. It's almost becoming the expectation, which is, the ironic thing. But, I think I could run this match 9 times out of 10, and it's always going to be in the 90s. These guys, even though it doesn't say that they have chemistry, they do. And they're both really at the top of their game. And it's awesome to have these two names, Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair, two guys that I've been salivating at the mouth to get to perform here on pay-per-views. It's finally come to fruition, and I don't want their stay to end, but all good things do come to an end. However, we do know that Flair has a shot, a main event contract at least, and he is going to be facing the WWF champion in the main event. And right now it looks as though he's going to be bringing that NWA heavyweight title with him, and that is no doubt an exciting prospect. But Dusty Rhodes, the loser of this bout, has definitely got some sour grapes, because this guy, Barry Windham, a member of the Four Horsemen, interfered. So that's definitely going to be something to keep in mind moving forward, potentially a storyline. But let's move on, ladies and gentlemen. And here is the promo that we've all been looking for. Randy Savage was poor trying to improvise dialogue. We've all been there, my friend. We've all had our off days, but still, an 88 is pretty great. And he's with Jake the Snake Roberts, and they are cutting a promo, which I would imagine would be pretty interesting, especially the two ends of the spectrum, where you got Savage, the bombastic, just outrageous character, and Jake, the reserved, kind of brooding, kind of Batman-esque promo. The cerebral promo, whereas Savage is liable to have his eyeballs bulge out of his sunglasses and his neck vein just completely blow out of his neck. But nonetheless, they are cutting a promo, and we had another kind of ambush. DiBiase is he's not letting it go. He's not over the fact that Savage has bested him in nearly every single turn. The Savage in which he was able to dupe or cheat or best seems to be long gone, ladies and gentlemen. That Savage that he met in '86 at the King of the Ring finale has grown. He has climbed the mountain, and he has become the flag that you see waving at the top of Mount WWF. And now DiBiase is trying to buy a Lear jet to get to the top of the mountain, to hijack that flag, to hijack that title, and Savage is just not about to let it happen. And neither is Robert, someone who has a historic background going back to the territories before they got here to the WWF with DiBiase. They had faced each other multiple times before they got here, and multiple times since. And Roberts, Not even so much just to aid Savage, which it was an attempt to kind of have his back. You know, DiBiase and Vader tried to attack him. Roberts was there. It was also because he's also had enough with DiBiase and is dying to have a shot at him and his lackey in Vader in a match. And so the match is set, a tag match, Savage Roberts versus DiBiase Vader, and let's see what it does. 96. We're excited about that, no doubt. At least I know that I am. And it was an exceptional match. Savage and Roberts defeat DiBiase when Jake the Snake beats Ted DiBiase by submission. Wow. That'll definitely be something to keep in mind moving forward. I know Ted DiBiase is not going to be a happy camper coming out of that. And then look at it. Vader, coming off the heels of a victory over Hogan, has one of the best performances in this bout. DiBiase, the lowest. Another surprise. Roberts, third highest, and then Savage, our champ, the highest. No complaints here, guys. I felt like altogether it was a pretty phenomenal show, and definitely one that I was excited to get to put on. And it's a road to WrestleMania show, and obviously, you know, we don't want to play too many cards. You know, don't want to give too much away before WrestleMania. Don't want to give too many of those matches away, and we got to be building up to those big matches. Here I felt like we set the seeds and or advanced the stories in the ways in which we needed to. And ultimately, when we get to WrestleMania, I think everything will be satisfying and definitely will have built upon itself. Now, let's go to the show rating. 95, hey, not bad. All in a day's work. I will certainly take it. And I am excited about that. And I'm excited that you watched the video. And I hope you liked it. You know the spiel. Like and subscribe. And I will catch you on the flippity flute.
Tonight, I'm gonna have myself